Well, it's finally over. It was a terrible finale to a terrible season. I don't even know what else to say about it. Let's just get right into it. It starts with the crew scrambling to stop Adam Sung from sabotaging the Europa mission. Somehow he made it all the way back to LA from France in what feels like a few hours. The crew uses Talon's transporter to get there, but Adam Sung doesn't have one of those. And his plan is to use some weird drones to shoot down the shuttle. He also plans to physically kill Rene Picard, so it's pretty redundant. And if that's his plan, why the fuck was he leading Borg drones into battle last episode? You know, if he had this set up in advance, which he clearly did, why did he need to be in France trying to kill them? It doesn't make any sense. And Talon thinks it's her duty to sacrifice herself to save Renee, because the Borg Queen said some cryptic shit in the last episode. Something like, one Renee Picard must die and the other must live. So Talon thinks that she is the Renee who must die, despite the fact that her name isn't Renee Picard and she's a totally different person. But you see, she does disguise herself as Renee Picard, Mission Impossible style, and she does this to allow Adam Sung to kill her, which he does with some poison. I mean, what a fucking disaster. She could have taken this opportunity to beat the shit out of Adam Sung, or better yet, use the possession ability she had earlier in the season. You know, when she was the Watcher, she had this magic power that she allowed her to possess people. So why doesn't she just use that to take control of Adam Sung and have him walk into oncoming traffic or some shit? I mean, this show is undeniably stupid. I can't believe it. So Talon is dying. She says her farewells to Picard. And I guess she is the Renee Picard that needed to die because why? Because she looked like her for a few seconds? Ugh. It's awful. And Raffi is able to disable the drones that were going to destroy the shuttle. So Sung's plan is totally foiled. And he realizes this when he is at his house watching TV and he sees Renee Picard taking off. So he has no idea who he actually killed, but it wasn't Renee Picard. And then he sits at his computer and watches all his files get deleted. His daughter Corey is doing it remotely from a library floor with a VR headset on, which she didn't take with her when she left, but she somehow has it now. And you'd think that he would have planned for this, but no, I guess not. And all she really does is delete the evidence of his crimes. So it's like she's doing him a favor almost. But I guess his vital work is gone. So having been totally defeated, he takes out a file that says Project Khan and then leaves the episode, never to be heard from again. So whatever the fuck that means. And Corey is approached by Wesley Crusher, of all people, who apparently has been a traveler since we last saw him on TNG. And he asks Corey to become a traveler too, and to come explore time and space. He also says that they protect the timeline, which is a total contradiction from what was said in the Traveler episodes. This is just totally out of left field and has absolutely nothing to do with anything. It means nothing. It offers nothing. It is nothing. The only thing it might be is a possible setup for a spin-off show about Wesley Crusher playing some dollar store Doctor Who and his companion Corey. I mean, that seems like the basic premise of what they're going to be doing. But that's it. It serves no other purpose. And why does he ask Corey to do this? What is so special about her? She's been living in a house alone for her whole life. Why does he pick her? And she just accepts, like, he asked her to join the fucking softball team or something. And, if Wesley had all these abilities this whole time, but never did anything to help out during the show, I mean, he says he protects the timeline. He says he does that. So, like, where the fuck was he this whole time? Again, it's a total contradiction. In the same breath, the show contradicts itself. It's just ludicrous. And then Picard puts the skeleton key in the same spot where he found it as a boy, the one he used to let his mother out, and now Q shows up. He has a very deep conversation with Picard where he's not really saying anything, but the music swells and the acting is good. So it makes you think that this is a very, substantial scene when it isn't. It means nothing. Q talks about how he's dying, but he never explains why he's dying. I'm just stunned at how they chose to wrap this up. The details are just, there's no details in this show. Q basically says he did all this so that Picard would learn how to not blame himself for his mother's death. I mean, what is the connection between what he did and Picard figuring that out? Because he upended all of history to teach Picard this lesson, but Picard came to this conclusion on his own. It was totally unrelated how he figured this out. But Q is taking credit for it. And he also says he does this because he doesn't want Picard to die alone. And this somehow will prevent that from happening. I don't get it. But everything seems hunky-dory now, But I don't know how Picard feels less guilty about what happened with his mother, because before that, it really wasn't his fault. But now he put the key back so that he's ensuring that his mother will die, when he actually has the means to prevent it right now. So his young self is going to find that key centuries from now, and the same thing will happen. He'll let his mother out and she'll die. He's actively making that happen by putting the key back. But whatever, I guess he's fine with it. Man, I just don't get it. And Q is proud of him because of this. He did all of this shit to actually help Picard, which is just totally unbelievable. I mean, people died. People in 2024 died earlier than they should have. Jurati killed a lot of people as the Borg Queen. But, whatever. They don't matter. So I guess it's all well and good. And Q is going to transport them back to their own time, which is restored now. And this will be his final act, because he's dying. But they never explain why he's dying, like I said. It's just the laziest shit I've ever seen. But of course, Rios is staying behind with his new family. I mean, what a big fucking surprise that is. Could have seen that coming a mile away. So much for butterflies, right? I mean, just stay behind. Fuck up the timeline even more if you like. It's so stupid. What else? They end up back on the Stargazer Bridge, minus Rios and minus Jurati. And another big surprise, the Borg Queen octopus thing turns out to be Jurati. Another thing you could see coming a mile away. And she looks horrible. Like, it looks fucking terrible. Like someone just did a bad Photoshop and put her face on this Borg body. It looks fucking horrendous. This clearly was a budget season. And she's apparently trying to help them stop a major galactic cataclysm, which went totally undetected by everyone else in the galaxy, except for this Borg Queen Jurati. And it's a whole big thing. They stop it. They stopped something capable of destroying the whole galaxy by allowing their shields to absorb the blast. Yay. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. Must not have been that big a deal if the shields can take it. And Picard also makes Seven captain of the Stargazer, since Rios is basically gone. He doesn't exist anymore. So, with one order, he is able to do something that Janeway apparently couldn't do when she, threatened to resign. And somehow Picard thinks that Seven is more qualified for command than himself in this situation. Why doesn't he just take command? I don't get it. And this whole confusion could have been prevented if Jurati showed up with her face showing. Why does she have to wear a mask? to just add confusion. And she attacks people on the bridge. Why does she do that? She never tried to explain herself. She just tried to take over the ship. It's ridiculous. And then they have a get-together in Guinan's bar, and she's aware of everything that happened. She somehow knows that Rios had a happy life with his family, and apparently Renee Picard was their kid's aunt, even though Rios and Renee never met the entire season. I mean, she has no idea who Rios is, but this universe is so tiny, so everyone knows each other. And Teresa's son is the one who clears up all the pollution on Earth using the organism that Renee found on Europa. I mean, that's just another thing that makes no fucking sense. She discovers this unnamed organism that can eliminate all the pollution on Earth and reverse climate change. But they never explain what it is. They never explain why Renee has to be the one to discover it. She's the only one that could have possibly done it. It apparently never gets discovered without her. So in 400 years, even after they start exploring the galaxy, they never found this fucking thing on Europa. I don't get it. It makes no sense. And how does this negate Adam Sung's work? It has nothing to do with his work. He was not an environmentalist. He was a geneticist. So how does something that, cures the planet of pollution stop him from doing his work as a geneticist? How does that happen? They also never explain why society is evil without Renee Picard. I mean, how does pollution and Sung's continuing work lead to the totalitarian society filled with evil people? How does that happen? They never explain this. It's shocking that they leave this shit out. The lack of attention to detail in the show is stunning. It feels like it was written by toddlers. And, what happened to that communicator that Picard dropped in, it was a couple episodes ago when he got arrested? Does that ever show up again? Because if it does, I missed it. I think that's just something they forgot about. This is without question the worst Star Trek I've ever watched. And maybe the worst 10 episodes of a TV show I've ever seen. It wants desperately for you to think that it's intelligent when nothing could be further from the truth. It's just embarrassingly stupid. It's cynical, childish, needlessly convoluted, and unintelligible. And every character needs to have some tragic backstory in order to exist. It lacks any attention to detail, like I said, which is kind of inexcusable because so much of the show is just filler. It feels like they're running out the clock for most of the season. And that's time they could have spent explaining things, or fleshing things out a bit, but they don't do that. They never bother. It's bad, but it's also insulting. And, they tried out Will Wheaton to host this show called The Ready Room, which is basically just a show that praises, Picard on every level. There's no criticism there. There's a lot of shows like that. It started with The Talking Dead, the sort of companion show to The Walking Dead, where they just have guests come on and talk about how great the show is. Basically, give the show a blumpkin for an hour or however long it is, half hour. So if you watch that, it basically just tries to reinforce that the show's good when it actually isn't. I don't know how you find good things to talk about in this season of Picard. It's astounding. I don't even know where you begin. I mean, there's some good ideas, but that's it. There's bad stuff I'm forgetting to talk about. There's so many bad things in this show. I can't keep track of it all. There's too much dog shit to even remember. I mean, the show really could have been called Star Trek Girardi. I mean, she's like the main character for most of the season. And there's just so much shit that gets left out. Raffi yells at Picard earlier in the season, never apologizes, never once. I mean, and she was in the wrong. She was 100% in the wrong, but she never apologizes. See what I'm saying? There's just so much shit that I can't even remember. Like, I'm just trying to think about all the dumb shit in the show, and I can't even think of all of it. For the Dick Rock rating, I give it 0 Dick Rocks out of 5. No, you know what? I give it 1/2 Dick Rock out of 5. Let it exist with just a little stump of a Dick Rock. That's all it deserves. Oh, man. At least it's done. It's finally done. And no more bad Star Trek to watch. I'm finally moving on. Wait a minute. Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!